You can actually completely change the trajectory of your art and creativity in a single day. I remember the first day I found the pens that I use now all the time. That one day completely changed how I approached my art. But this is only possible if you leave yourself open to uncertainty and risk. It is unlikely that you'll have these types of discoveries if you are someone who's trying to control every aspect of your art practice. If you're someone who's a perfectionist, who needs control over every step, then you're not leaving enough room for these types of discoveries to then actually change and transform your creativity. The deeper parts of you actually need room to speak. And I know that this can be very uncomfortable if you are someone who leans on your intellect a lot. If you're someone who doesn't trust your intuition, if you're someone who's been taught over and over again that you need to be in control, be responsible, your self-worth is attached to your outcomes. If you are one of these people, it's very unlikely that you're going to leave the room for this deeper part of you to speak, for your intuition to speak, for you to leave curiosity open, right? You're not going to be curious about your own experience because you are driven to control every aspect. So let's discuss 3 common challenges that a lot of creatives face because of this tendency towards control. The first trap that a lot of artists fall into is holding on to an imaginary version, a fantasy version of the artist that they could have been if they had locked in or been more disciplined while they were younger. There's this idea in your mind that there's this potential artist that is perfect, that is pure and is amazing and can execute your ideas perfectly. And while you hold on to this idea, you keep comparing yourself to it, which is restricting what you're able to do here in the present moment. You're always trying to catch up to this version of yourself. You're constantly thinking about, oh, if I'd done this differently, then that would have happened, right? Like if I focused on anatomy while I was in high school, I could just do it perfectly right now. And I could do my comic book or my illustrations perfectly, and I wouldn't have any of the stress. And as you're going through this in your mind, you're not leaving enough room for all the discovery that can happen right here and now. You are narrowing your path because you think that you need to become this version of yourself. You're trying to catch up to this version of yourself, so you're narrowing the scope of what you're allowing yourself to discover. This is a trap that I fell into through my 20s. I kept thinking that if I could just catch up to where I thought I would be, right? If I could just catch up to that version, then I'll finally have fun and do all this creative stuff that I have in my head. I could finally express myself without limitations. If I could only draw from imagination perfectly, then none of these things would be a challenge anymore. The problem with this is that there's no room for discovery there, right? It's a very narrow image of what it means to be an artist. It's a very narrow focus on execution and outcomes rather than discovery here in the present moment. It's constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough here and now. It's constantly telling yourself that, hey, if only I was better, then I wouldn't have these problems. The reality is that being creative and making art will always be a risk. No matter how good you get, it's always going to be a risk because your standards will keep rising. Your vision for what you can make will keep rising with you. So that gap is always going to be there. And holding on to this big fantasy is not helping you here in the present moment. So you actually have to take some time and grieve this potential. If you want to overcome this, then you actually have to look at that version of yourself and decide that, hey, you're not going to exist. Simply, it's realistically speaking, you're a fantasy of my mind. I'm never going to get there because it's not rooted in reality, and I'm going to say goodbye to you. If you are someone who's struggling with this version of yourself, if you're constantly comparing yourself and you don't feel like you have freedom in your artistry, then I would love to work with you in the Joyful Creative, where we will go over how to grieve your potential, and then we'll do mentorship calls and I'll help you through this. Being a perfectionist can really hinder your creative growth, which is why I created this course and mentorship to help artists let go of some of these issues and finally feel more freedom in their artistry and actually have fun with it. The big thing that it changed for me as I let go of my perfectionism is that I started to have fun. Art feels so much easier now, and I grow so much faster without actually putting in tons of effort. When I was in my 20s, I was constantly trying to force myself to catch up to this potential. And it was so much energy. It did not feel good. Most of the drawings I did not enjoy. Even in the process of making it, I just felt bad about the drawings because I was constantly thinking about this potential, which made it so that I didn't even learn from any of the drawings because I was spending more time feeling bad about it than actually learning from the practice. So if you are someone who's struggling with this, I would love to work with you. Check out the link below and let's meet you in our first call. The second trap that a lot of artists fall into is taking too much responsibility for their life. Now, being a responsible person is useful, but a lot of times this turns into blaming yourself for things that are outside of your control. For most of you, you probably work a full-time job or you're in school and you're quite busy. You don't have as much time to make art as you wish you did, or you don't have as much energy as you wish you did. But that's not your fault. You're not at fault for being in a position where you just don't have the room. So stop comparing yourself to artists who were lucky. If you listen to interviews with artists who are tremendously skilled, a lot of the times it's because they got lucky in some ways. Maybe they were on the internet early enough where they made a bunch of money online, or maybe they had parents who support them. There's usually some sort of luck. Now, the luck does not take away from all the hard work that they did, but it means that you can't really compare yourself to them if you're not dealt a similar hand. This type of blaming becomes a cycle of just trying to control your practice. You're trying to micromanage everything because you think that you need to catch up to these better artists. You think that you are at fault for not being there. This comparison is not useful. This also goes beyond just the logistics of life and the technical skills of drawing. It also impacts your creative voice. You aren't actually in control of the things that you're interested in. If you pay close enough attention, you'll notice that the things that you're pulled towards aren't in your control, which means that you can't just curate your voice, your artistry, to be this specific thing that you think that you want. That isn't possible. And I know that's an uncomfortable truth. I know that it's tempting to try to resist that you think that you want control over it. But ultimately, what you're going to have to do is surrender into the things that feel naturally joyful for you, because it's not in your intellect. It's in your body, in your heart. And I know that's super cheesy, but if you actually pay attention to the things that are energizing for you, it's not coming from up here. It's usually coming from down here. In your body, you will feel that excitement towards certain things. When I discovered my ink pen, right, that pen that I'm working with right here, I wasn't intellectually deciding that that's what I like. It just felt so good I couldn't stop. And that is why you aren't fully responsible for these things. You're not in control over what you're interested in. This was especially true for me because I tried to become a painter for the longest time. I tried to do acrylic paintings and I tried to fit into this fantasy thing that I really thought I wanted, but I did not enjoy it. There's no part of my body that was being energized by it. I had to use so much force, and I thought that I could just force myself into it instead of surrendering to it. Instead of surrendering into my natural curiosity, I was trying to control and curate how I was being an artist, right? I thought I could use my intellect to force myself into a specific path, and it did not work. It was not sustainable because I wasn't surrendering into my natural interests. Which is why taking too much responsibility, trying to control too hard, blaming yourself for not being a specific way does not work if you want to be an artist who draws all the time and creates from an honest place. It just simply does not work. So it becomes very important for you to start practicing letting go of the responsibility, let go and surrender and decide that hey, I actually don't know myself that well. I'm going to treat myself as an unknown. I'm going to leave room for my creativity, just show up however it shows up and see what happens and see how much more energy you will have to make art. It will give you so much freedom, it will make it so much more fun, but I understand why that is uncomfortable, especially if you are a perfectionist. But it's worth working on because art can be easy, it can be fun, it can be the best part of your life, the most enjoyable part of your life, if you untangle some of these challenges. The third trap that a lot of artists fall into is what I like to call success aversion. This is when an artist has an inclination of the thing that they want to do, but they're actually afraid of succeeding at it because it would raise your standards. There's more room to fail the more successful you become, which is why I think a lot of artists, even though they know what they should be doing, they know that there's a project within them that they could explore, they hold themselves back from it because it's so scary that they might actually succeed at it. It's actually more comfortable to just fail right now because then you know that you're failing. then you're in control of the failure. But if you became successful, if you did this project and it suddenly raised the bar of what you're able to do, and you're able to see that you can do better, then suddenly you can't slack off as much. Now failure becomes a little bit more personal. I think this is a big part of why it's so popular online not to actually work on your personal projects. If you look at artists online, there is this tendency towards just focusing on skill building, because it's like, well, building skills is actually quite safe because you know you're going to fail, and it doesn't feel very personal because it's not something that's attached to who you are as a person. It's this separate thing. It's a technical skill thing. Oh, I just need to grind some more. I just need to practice my foundation some more before I jump into my personal project, as if the foundations can teach you what it's like to be creative. You're not being creative when you're just practicing your foundations. Now, I am someone who teaches technical skills. I'm not saying that learning technical skills is not helpful. But what I'm saying is that it's not enough to just focus on technical skills. You actually want to use it to be creative. You want to use it for something. So if you're not using it for that thing, then what are you doing? Probably avoiding it all because you have an inkling that you might be successful at it. And I know that this is very true for a lot of perfectionists. The idea of failure is so icky, it's so painful that they won't even try. They'll just hold themselves back from trying. I know this because this was me for the longest time, and it holds you back from growth. If you're not willing to put yourself in the game, if you're not willing to actually give it a shot, then you start to lose touch with that creative spark. You start to lose touch with why you even began. Did you start drawing just so you can practice the skill over and over again? Or did you do it because you want to express something, that there's ideas in your mind that you want to explore? There's curiosity in there that you wanted to tap into, but now you're holding yourself back because you're afraid of success. You're afraid that if you become really successful, then you climb up and then you might fall, and that's scary. I was in this bucket for the longest time. I struggle with this, which is why I talk so much about these types of things. I'm speaking from personal experience, but I also see it in a lot of students where they have these ideas and they're not willing to give them a shot. And I don't think it's because they're afraid of failing. I don't think it's always because they're afraid of failing. I think they're afraid that they might actually be good at it. They might actually execute well on it, and then failure, right? It's more painful if you have a little bit of success and then fail instead of just failing all the way through, because at least that is predictable. You feel in control when you're guaranteeing the failure, which is why you won't give it a shot. There's always some sort of long story about why you can't start. But the reality is that you can start right now. You could start your project right now. You can take a piece of paper right now and start writing and planning it out. Do the first illustration, do it badly. Do your first comic book page, do it badly. You can do all of that, but that is scary. It is actually scary to try, which is why I talk so much about this. If any of this resonates with you and you want to work with me, check out the Joyful Creative that's linked below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.